We're sorry we had some technical difficulties, so we had a delay. Calling the meeting to order. Welcome, good evening to the City of Milpitas Planning Commission's meeting. At this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner Vice Chair Medina Asby to lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody right?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron, for helping us with the connectivity this evening. Thank you. Hey, Ron. All right. At this time, we'll have our roll call. Ms. Medina.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and good evening, Planning Commissioners, staff, and community members. I'll start taking attendance, starting with Commissioner Kong. Here. Commissioner Colkins.
Here.
Commissioner Gupta.
Here.
Commissioner Awasthi.
Present.
Commissioner Galang.
Present.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby.
Present.
And Chair Albana.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. At this time, I'd ask Attorney Rich to give us the conflict of interest declaration.
Thank you, Chair. I ask the Chair and every other member of the Commission whether he or she has any financial or personal conflict of interest related to any of the items on tonight's agenda.
Commissioner Kong.
None.
Commissioner Colkins.
None.
Commissioner Gupta.
None.
Commissioner Awasthi.
None.
Commissioner Galang.
None.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby.
None.
And Chair Albana.
None.
Thank you.
Thank you. I further ask the Chair and every other member of the Commission to please disclose any campaign contributions of $100 or more received within the last 12 months from any of the parties entering into contracts with the city on tonight's agenda, or contributions received from any development project applicant for development projects on tonight's agenda.
Commissioner Kong.
None.
Commissioner Colkins.
None.
Commissioner Gupta.
None.
Commissioner Awasthi.
None.
Commissioner Galang.
None.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby.
None.
And Chair Albana.
None.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let the record reflect no reported conflicts. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Before I go to the approval for our agenda this evening, I'd like to read that public comment instructions so everybody here could hear. Oral public comments may only be provided live during the Planning Commission meeting in person. All comments provided shall be limited to 3 minutes or less as determined by the chair. All public members will be limited to 1 comment per agenda item and 1 comment for non-agenda items. Members of the public may submit written comments by email to planningdepartment@milpitas.gov. Let me proceed to our item. Next item would be the approval of tonight's agenda. Commissioners, do I get a motion to approve our agenda this evening?
I make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Awasthi. Do I get a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Hawkins. Thank you. The next item will be approval for minutes of last meeting, but we have to skip that. We're not ready with that.
Chair, we forgot to take roll call on the approval of the agenda.
Okay, please. Go
Yes,
ahead.
Commissioner Kong. Aye. Commissioner Colkins.
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta.
Aye.
Commissioner Awasthi.
Aye.
Commissioner Galang.
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby.
Aye.
And Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for that reminder. So we're going to our next, we're skipping the approval of the minutes of last October 9. We shall proceed to item number 7, announcements. Any announcements, Commissioner, Planning Commissioners, Planning Director?
Chair, if I may. A few quick announcements. For those commissioners whose terms are expiring in December, a reminder that the application form for if you want to continue your service in a further term is available online and can be submitted to the city clerk. Another piece of news for the new year. The FPPC has changed the rules for reporting for Form 700 filers, which are all members of the Planning Commission. Reporting will now have to be through an electronic system. We'll be sending you some information about the new system that the FPPC has provided, but it is something that each commissioner will have to do through the system of the FPPC. Finally, for those who have not completed their AB 1234 training, a reminder to get in those certificates as soon as you can. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Critch. Planning Director.
Thank you, Chair Albana. Good evening, Commissioners. I have a brief announcement about the next Planning Commission meeting. The regularly scheduled meeting that was supposed to take place on November 27th is canceled because of Thanksgiving. So our next Planning Commission meeting will take place on December 11th. And as a heads up, as you would probably guess, the Planning Commission meeting that would be on Christmas is also going to be canceled. That's all.
Thank you, Planning Director. I thought we had a Christmas party. Sponsored by the city, right? Okay. Scratch that from the record. So let me see. Any announcements from the attendant while ago? No. The meeting that they had, zoning. No. Okay. Our next agenda item number 8 is the public forum. May I read this declaration? Members of the public are invited to speak on any item that does not appear on today's agenda. Comments may be limited to 3 minutes or less at the chair's discretion. When called to speak, we encourage you to state your name for the record. As an item not listed on the agenda, no action can be taken. However, the Planning Commission may instruct the staff to place the item on a future meeting agenda. So at this time, we have our item number 9, which is a public hearing. 9.1 is the new banquet facility and food truck park. We have our planning director, Mr. Randy Baez. Randy, good evening. If you'd want to proceed with the presentation.
Hi, good evening, and thank you, Director Lee. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, and members of the public. My name is Randy Baez, Associate Planner with the City of Milpitas. The item before you is an application request for a new banquet facility and food truck park at 200 Sarah Way.
Chair, I wanted to clarify with 2 speaker cards I received, just making sure that it wasn't for public forum, rather it's for the agendized item. I received 2 that didn't indicate which agenda item it's for, and this one is from Mr. Santosh, Mr. and Mrs. Santosh. Is it for the agendized item? Okay, and Karan for the, okay, thank you for clarifying that.
We just wanted to make sure. So do we hear them tonight
A public comment.
on the
They
agenda?
indicated they didn't. General.
Okay, so can you wait after the presentation and make your comments? Thank you. Sorry about that, Randy, for the interruption. Just wanting to clarify.
Of course.
Go ahead, Randy.
Okay, next slide, please. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit or CUP to allow for the operation of a banquet facility known as Amnesia Lounge within 2,670 square feet of an existing 9,570 square foot multi-tenant commercial building.
Randy,
We can't see his
yeah,
presentation.
if you, sorry, yeah, over here, we can't see the presentation, so if you could just hold on for a moment.
Oh,
Thanks.
okay.
Thanks, Randy.
Besides presentation, we can't see Randy either on the screen. So but maybe they'll come together.
I think that's the exact same system.
Thank you for your patience with these technical difficulties. But I like to see all our faces here. All right. Pretty soon, we'll see the presentation.
Randy, I think you're good to go now.
Okay. Thank you. So continuing, the applicant is also requesting a minor conditional use permit, or MCUP, to allow for the operation of a food truck park located within the adjacent parking lot south of the existing building. Lastly, a minor site development permit was submitted to allow for a change in exterior building colors. The applicant proposes to operate the banquet facility daily from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. Next slide, please. For some background on this property, the subject building is an existing multi-tenant commercial building within a larger commercial area known as the Sarah Center. On June 6, 2022, the Building Safety and Housing Department conducted an inspection of the property that found there was a number of unpermitted interior and exterior improvements. Those violations showed the business was operating without the benefit of a CUP, the food truck park was operating without an MCUP, and there was no minor site development permit to address the change in building color on the southern elevation. This project seeks to address these violations and bring the property into compliance. This is an aerial image of the project site and is located near the city center, near the corner of West Calaveras and South Able. The project can be accessed off of multiple driveways from West Calaveras to the north, as well as Junipero Drive to the south. The aerial shows the multi-tenant commercial building, and the subject tenant space is on the right side of this building. This is the zoning map of the property. The project site is zoned C2, or general commercial, and is surrounded by a combination of commercial and residential uses. Commercial uses include Days Inn to the west, Walgreens to the northwest, and Straw Hat Pizza to the north. The properties to the northwest and east are similarly zoned C2, and the properties to the south are zoned multifamily residential, or R3. The site is also surrounded by multi-tenant commercial buildings to the north and east, and residential multifamily properties are located to the south. Here we see a floor plan of the existing project site. The applicant seeks to operate a 2,670 square foot banquet facility with a tenant space currently operated by a movie theater. The existing 2-screen movie theater will reduce its tenant space by roughly half the square footage to accommodate the banquet facility. As you can see in this floor plan, the left side, formerly one of the screen areas, will be converted to the proposed banquet facility, and the screen on the right will remain as the movie theater. There is a shared lobby, concessions, and restrooms in between these uses, but the businesses will operate completely independently. As customers enter the building, they will have tickets checked to enter the movie theater, and similarly will have invitations or QR codes or something similar checked to enter the banquet facility. A guardrail or similar obstacle will be located in the lobby area to direct pedestrian traffic and prevent operational conflicts between the movie theater and the banquet facility. Here is a more detailed floor plan for the banquet facility, which shows the layout for the proposed tables and chairs. The facility will be available for rent for private events such as birthday parties and weddings, and will include a service counter, a 240 square foot storage area, a DJ booth, and 1,325 square feet of dining area. The service counter will be used for serving food and drinks, and the banquet facility will operate from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. and is limited to 125 guests and will share restroom facilities with the movie theater. Here we see a site plan of the proposed food truck park, which will be located within a small portion of the adjacent parking lot to the south of the subject building. We also have a zoomed in section of the floor plan that shows the layout of the food truck park, which includes a 2,000 square foot dining area surrounded by 6 food trucks. 4 of the 6 food trucks will be located on existing parking spaces, while the other 2 will block one of the 5 drive aisles within the parking lot. 4 existing landscaped planters will remain and will serve as strong barriers to any nearby vehicular traffic. Trash and recycling receptacles are also proposed, as well as a gender-neutral portable restroom. Furthermore, customers within the building may access the food truck park via an existing walkway on the east side of the building. Exterior doors on the south elevation of the building will remain closed but unlocked in order to prevent sound spillage, but maintain necessary emergency egress requirements for the fire department. As part of the minor site development permit request, the applicant is requesting to legalize the exterior paint change for the south elevation of the existing building. Although the colors are not considered earth-toned or muted, the Planning Commission may find the project to be compatible with the surrounding area and development. Next, here are the development standards for the C2 or general commercial zone. No permanent exterior physical improvements are proposed, so the project meets or exceeds all of the development standards. Next, here is a breakdown of the parking requirements for the site. Although banquet facilities and food truck parks are fairly parking intensive uses, there are 121 parking spaces for the shopping center, which exceeds the 119 required. Consistent with the City of Milpitas Municipal Code, the food truck park must comply with all requirements of our mobile food vending regulations, which includes that mobile food vehicles shall be parked a minimum of 15 feet from a driveway curb. Mobile food vehicles in operation shall be located a minimum of 150 feet from any existing restaurants, and that 1 restroom shall be provided for every 5 mobile food vehicles, which can be rounded down. Sorry, 1 slide back. Thank you. The application was also routed to the Milpitas Police Department for review, who provided conditions of approval to ensure all safety and security measures are met. These conditions include requirements for security cameras, abiding by the city's noise ordinance, and for appropriate noise ordinance signage to be posted in conspicuous areas. The proposed project is categorically exempt from environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, in accordance with CEQA guidelines section 15301 for existing facilities and section 15183 for projects consistent with the community plan, general plan, or zoning. A notice was published in the Milpitas Post and at City Hall, as well as the city's website. 642 postcards were sent to property owners within 1,000 feet of the project site. A sign was also posted at the project site 2 comments have been received to date with a general concern regarding noise impacts to the residential properties nearby, and a comment / email against the proposed food truck park. It should be mentioned that staff does not consider interbusiness competition when evaluating the land use impacts of projects and making recommendations. Furthermore, most of the issues raised in the submitted email are not land use issues. Next slide, please. Staff has confirmed that project meets the findings associated with a minor site development permit as set out in the Milpitas Municipal Code. Those findings have been discussed in the staff report and are addressed in the resolution. And staff has confirmed that the project meets the findings associated with a conditional use permit as set out in the Milpitas Municipal Code. The proposed use will not be detrimental to the property, nor to the public health, safety, and general welfare, as the banquet facility is located within an existing building. The food truck park is also separated from vehicles by the food trucks themselves, as well as existing landscape planters, which will remain. The project is also consistent with the Milpitas General Plan, which encourages activity within existing commercial centers. The proposed project will renovate an existing commercial center while creating a new public gathering place in the form of a banquet facility and food truck park. Additionally, the proposed food truck park will focus on creating an appealing outdoor use that will attract customers to the area. The remodeling of the commercial building will also improve in aging commercial development in order to better serve the neighborhood. Furthermore, the project is also consistent with the specific plan, which encourages a compatible mixture of residential, retail, office, and service-oriented commercial uses within the Midtown area. The findings have been further discussed in the staff report and are addressed in the resolution. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission open and close the public hearing and adopt Resolution 24-033, approving conditional use permit number UP 23-0006, minor conditional use permit number MC 23-0007, and minor site development permit number MS 23-0143, subject to the findings and attached conditions of approval. This concludes staff's summary of the project. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. And furthermore, the project applicant is available in person for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Commissioners, would you have any questions for Randy this time? Commissioner Kong, please.
Yeah, Randy, can you help me understand the hygiene facilities in that food truck park? I understand that there will be a porta potty that will be set up. How is that going to be serviced? Does the project proposal has any kind of servicing in place that is going to be managed? How is it going to be managed, as well as hand washing facilities, running water facilities? What will be there?
Thank you, Commissioner. I would actually direct that question to the applicant if he is available.
Is the applicant here? Can we ask a few questions? Please state your name. There, with the green one.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to explain any questions that the public has or the commissioners have. So particularly the question asked by Ling, we are actually hiring a third-party company to provide those services, and then that company is going to maintain it. So they come on a daily or weekly basis depending on the need, and then they will maintain that porta potty and also the hand washing facilities.
Okay, so it's all going to be portable, right? That
Yeah.
no real running water,
Everything,
nothing at all. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been operating this food truck? Because I understand that there is some violation because.
No,
it's been
not the food truck.
Okay.
There were never, no operating food truck park at that time there.
I see.
Yeah.
So, can you share with us what was your motivation to have a food truck business outside of this theater?
So, couple of things, one obviously is the business opportunity, and also to provide, the community to come together and then enjoy good food while being able to, use either, the movie theater, go and watch a movie, and then after the movie, they can come and enjoy the food. So that way, the families can have a, comfortable time together. And at the same time, what we have seen is that that area is pretty blight, so having this would also help to light up the area and then also bring more younger generation to the area to help, the city and as well as, a business, because we have seen a lot of food truck parks coming up in state of California, and then they are doing exceedingly well. So, we thought it would be a good extension to the business of movie theater and banquet facility.
And maybe you can enlighten me as well, because I remember in front of Big Lots, that used to be also like a food truck park that was pretty seasonal. It wasn't there permanently. It was there for several months.
I am not aware of that because, I did not know that.
Okay. Randy, would you be able to help us with that information as well? Like the prior food truck operation in that complex that was in front of Big Lots. Do you know what happened to it and why it ceased to operate?
Thank you, Commissioner. I am not aware of why it ceased operations, but I did come across those entitlements during my research of the property.
Can I answer the question?
Yeah, sure.
So, as far as I know, there never been a food truck park there. At least I haven't seen it, even though I probably in that area practically at least once a week or so. But there is one Mexican food truck which has been operating, for a long time, and still there, across the parking lot from Big Lots. So that is still there. Probably it'll remain even after the new food truck park. So I think that's the situation.
Because I think it was probably more than 5 years ago when there was quite a big food truck park, but it was just seasonal. It wasn't there for extended period. So I don't know the history, and I guess
Yeah, you may be right. I am not aware of. Yeah, maybe you may be right. Yeah.
And I wanted to understand a bit more about noise and insulation. I think you mentioned something about trying to mitigate the noise in that area because there are housing that are, very close to where that back parking lot is. So how is that noise being managed? Yeah.
Thank you for that question. I'm sorry. My name is Bob Livengood. I'm a resident of Milpitas and also a business owner here. I'm helping to represent the applicants here tonight. In terms of noise, we're very sensitive to that, but we believe that the most important thing is having on-site management without any amplified music, and also giving the residents an opportunity to, if they wish, to have a number that they can call and say, hey, we're short of calling the police, right? We want to be able to handle these problems on our own. Our police have a lot of things to do. So the applicants have indicated that they will post a sign that shows what number a resident can call if they feel that the property is too noisy. So it's outdoors, so obviously there's not going to be any physical structures that contain a noise, but the way that the trucks will be positioned with the seating area in the middle will cut down on noise. But most importantly, it will be managed. And this is a family business. This isn't some big corporation coming in, and they are committed to being sensitive to the neighbors and everything that they're concerned about. There are some other things that I want to present to the commission, but I'll wait until the commission's had a chance to. I hope I answered your question.
A little bit. And is the management going to be tied to the theater or the
Yes,
banquet
they're all
operation?
on. So there's synergy there. They're going to be on site for those facilities as well.
Okay.
Okay.
So, is there a reason why there needs to be an external porta potty rather than share the restroom facilities that's indoor with
Yeah,
the food truck?
It's a good question. The door will be controlled on the interior. So there's going to be, people have to have tickets to get into the theater. They mentioned the possibility of QR codes or some other way. So we can't have folks coming in there because we lose track of them. And we don't want a whole bunch of people coming in to use the restroom and then staying and potentially exceeding the capacities and things like that. So we have to have control at the front of the facility there, the interior facilities, to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So we really don't want that folks from that truck park coming into the actual facility on the interior itself.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that answer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kong. I had a quick question, sir, Mr. Livingood. How are you?
I'm good.
Nice to see
Thank
you again. Are these two separate entities, just for information of the public and us, are these two separate entities? That's one is for the banqueting hall and another one for the food truck?
For the city requirements, yes, technically, we had to submit a CUP for the both the banquet facility and the theater, and then a separate one for the truck park, because all the requirements are different for those two type of uses. But the ownership will be the same.
The ownership of the
Yes.
whole entity?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. And going to the food truck, you said there were going to be 4 and 2 6.
Mhm.
Would you know what kind of food trucks at this time?
You mean the type of food?
The type of food?
The intention is it would be Indian food.
All the 6 trucks?
Yes, but I don't think there's an absolute commitment to that yet, but that's the intent.
Would it be requested to have several different kinds?
I'm gonna let these folks handle that part of it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Livingood.
To answer your question about the type of the food that we are planning to serve, so there would be a mix of Indian and then Indo-Chinese, and also some kind of foods that are coming up liked by the new generation.
Fusion.
Fusion.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but not all 6 are Indian food trucks. No,
There'll be a variety.
there's a variety. Because otherwise, I would not be able to attract more number of people, right? So the idea is to serve all kinds of all people, the community, not just the Indian.
I see. Thank you so much. Commissioners, any other questions? Commissioner Galang?
Yeah, I have a question. During the operations of the truck, all the trucks are be present every day, and how many trucks are be?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I mean, the food truck, are they going to be there for the whole day? How many trucks are available every day? Is it every day?
Every day, the current plan is be able to open them 10 to 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. But they have to go back to the commissary in the night.
So how will you address your garbage? Did you have any area that you can?
Yeah, so the sanitary department has some requirements which we agreed to, and we would be having these trash cans for every food truck that will be taken out at the night when the business is closed.
Yeah. You are also for the banquet. I'm sorry, for the banquet, right? You said it's open for the public for rental, correct?
Correct.
If let's say how many capacity is that?
125.
So are you going to use the old building, or are you going to build a new building for the banquet?
No. It just if you look at the picture, right? It's on one of the theaters. We converted that into a banquet facility.
So if there is a functions, let's say 200 to 250 on that night, and then plus your, let's say 8 trucks are present, do you think do you have enough space or park? Oh, I mean, is that going to be crowded if 8 trucks and then
6 trucks. The current proposal is 6 food trucks, and then 125 banquet facility. So the banquet facility parking is in the front.
Okay.
And that's limited to 125 people. So if there are more number of people, we would not even rent it out to them if the event is expected more than 125 people.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garland.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Commissioner
Gupta, right?
Gupta.
Okay.
To me or Bob?
I'm sorry?
This is to me or Bob?
I'll come to that, yeah. So just starting on the lighter side, it's called Gandhi Chowk, right?
Yes.
You know, Gandhi was a vegetarian.
Yes.
So it's going to be only vegetarian food?
We try to keep dedicated vegetarian trucks.
I'm sorry?
We try to keep the trucks, some of the trucks are serving pure vegetarian.
Yeah, I'm just joking. I'm not expecting it to be vegetarian. I mean, if
But,
it's
you know,
only vegetarian, it will not succeed, yeah. So looking at everybody who's present here and the note that was given in terms of how this business food truck park will affect a bunch of current restaurants in and around Main Street, and a bunch of food trucks which are already there, in that gas station across the street, and many others on Main Street. So keeping all of that, how will you address that objection? And one suggestion that I can make is that you actually should give the first right of refusal for the food trucks to all those restaurants that you have listed and all the food trucks that you have listed, and to see if they are interested in contributing or adding a food truck to your location. Only thing is you might have too many people, but that you can screen based on the quality or the guidelines you have. But I think that will take care of the objection that many people are already here probably going to talk about. But I think because most of the restaurants and food trucks that are already there are already Indian trucks. I mean, either you have to go for totally non-Indian type of food truck park, or give this right of refusal to the ones who's already there.
No, I think that's a great suggestion, Praveen. I think Bob can explain
Yeah,
better,
Yeah, Commissioner, I want to say first that I understand the nervousness that's created with the issue of competition. Competition is not an issue it's not a planning issue. I myself faced that when I was a business owner here. I owned 2 7-Eleven stores. And right about the time I bought them, a lot of the gas stations went to convenience uses. And so I had to compete. And I did not oppose them coming into town, but it's nervous making. But the fact of the matter is that my client, these folks cannot be held, it cannot be held against them that the type of food that they're going to sell already exists here. And that wouldn't be fair to them. But you make a good suggestion, and I heard them say that they're willing to consider allowing the current owners to have that opportunity. But the city of Milpitas, I don't believe, and this is my opinion, cannot turn down a conditional use permit because the existing marketplace is already there. So I think that's legally dubious at best. But I think your idea of dealing with the folks who are here now and hoping that they can help with this and maybe be a part of it is a good idea, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree with your comment from a competition point of view, but I think you want something which is a win-win for everybody. So the win-win is that giving the chance to other people, because you haven't already decided all those food trucks which are already going to be there. And I'm ideally, actually, I'll be happier if there are more than 6 food trucks, that you can give more opportunities to more restaurants and more food trucks. But then you may have space limitation there. So I don't know what's the maximum number of food trucks you can have. But giving opportunity to these restaurants and food trucks, I think is win-win.
Okay, and we have taken that into consideration. Certainly, we appreciate that. And that's a good reason that we're all here tonight, is to kind of hash those kind of things out and try to come away with everybody, as you have said, in a win-win situation.
No, I know you were saying that you'll provide the opportunity, perhaps they can consider it. I'm thinking more in terms of adding that as a condition of approval, that you give the first right of refusal. I don't know if that's from a legal point of view.
Yeah,
That's
I would
valid
have to defer
thing
to the,
add
to the city
as a
attorney
condition
on
of
that.
approval.
Yeah, I'd have to defer to the real attorneys.
Right. Well,
Not
we have
those
an
of us
attorney
that,
here, so
not those of us that think we're attorneys.
Actually, if I can say something, we are here to approve the zoning, the site and everything, the planning. However, one thing maybe the owner could do is consider, like you said, it'll be fusion. Maybe you can consider something special that the others do not offer. Then you are helping with the economics of it for everybody to thrive in the city of Milpitas, because there's residents like that. You can tweak that. You may. That's just a suggestion. But definitely we're here to approve really what the planning, the zoning, it's, everything. So that was a good suggestion. Attorney Critch, you had something to say?
Conditions of approval put forward by the commission have to be tied to elements necessary for the approval. So if you had a condition that you wanted to suggest, it would be important before proposing that condition to develop a record showing why that condition was necessary to make the project comply with one of those conditions. I would point out that while our general plan and the specific plan and referenced in the reports do talk about having a diversity of food options available to the public. You would need significant findings to show that having specific different types of food trucks in this particular park are necessary to establish that base level of diversity. So that's why I'd point out for the conditions of approval is also absolutely possible for project applicants to be able to do things that are practical and good for the community, even if not required in a condition of approval, and that most business owners recognize the need to do things to make their business successful above and beyond legally compliant. And so I would encourage the commission as it considers these issues to focus on what's necessary to be compliant with the city's zoning ordinance.
Thank you, Attorney Critch. I had a question with regards to the banquet hall, the banqueting hall. Could answer that, Mr. Livingood or who? Yeah. I was reading through the papers and there was just one word that said, I know it's a banqueting hall item, but there was something that said something like a nightclub or something. So,
No, that was the original plan, but then we actually, decided not to go in that route. So that's the reason now it became a banquet facility.
yes. But what was going to be the name of the banqueting hall?
We are going to keep because we already put the sign, it's a Amnesia Lounge.
I see.
Yeah.
So Amnesia Lounge, there's one in India, right?
In India?
In India, yes. I
Maybe in
Googled it.
Hyderabad, yeah. How did you know that?
I Googled it. So you're going to have like a DJ, the music.
We don't do anything of that. So if I rent it out to somebody, right? So that person, if they want to hire a DJ, then they can hire a DJ for that event and then celebrate that and then be done with it.
So in reality, it's going to be generally a banqueting hall that you can rent it out for events, weddings, birthdays,
Birthdays, things like that.
quinceañeras, whatever.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
And
But we have the facility for the DJ. So already have everything built in. So if somebody wants to use their, equipment to connect to the speaker system, they can just simply connect and then their DJ can play whatever they want to play.
all right, how about so if they want to have an event, who will bring the food in? They have it catered?
They have to do that,
They have to do that.
Yeah.
I see.
I mean, if they want to get it from the food trucks that are out there, they can definitely approach them and then say, hey, can you serve this food to us?
I see.
And then many food trucks would do that.
Yes.
Or otherwise they can actually, work with the food trucks and then say, hey, for this night, I want your food truck to serve only to my, patrons.
Yeah, then I have another question. Thank you. Who will I address the sign of the whole facility, the building? Who can I address that to? I had a question.
The sign?
Well, the site, the building, is
Uh-huh.
it possible to upgrade the structural, like architectural design of it?
So we are only leasing it from the landlords. So that would be a good question to the landlords, not me,
I
because we
see.
are only lessees on that.
I see.
And that too part of the building.
Because then you asked for the new paint, exterior
That
paint.
was exterior paint on the back, we did not know, but the landlord said, oh, you can paint whatever you want. So we were trying to make it look nice. I mean, like, as a single color, would look bland. So, we thought, we might spice up that area, light up that area with some different colors.
Make it more modern. Yeah.
More modern, yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any question?
Yes, when you said that they can order the food truck, but the food trucks are there till 10 p.m. and the banquet facility is open till 1 o'clock. So
Depends on the event, right? If somebody wants to stay late and enjoy, if it is like somebody's 16th birthday, for example, right? They might want to stay late and enjoy, celebrating that. Then they have to talk to the food trucks, or they can cater the food from outside restaurants, like nearby restaurants, they can cater the food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Awasti. I had one more question I remembered. So it says here that you're not going to be serving alcohol
Yes.
drinks. So definitely none, not even in the future.
In the future, we don't know. I mean, right now, we did not plan to do that, because when we are, giving that out for rent, whoever renting it out, they need to decide, if they want to serve alcohol, then they have to approach the ABC and then get whatever the license that's required. But that's not our thing.
And you're not required to have that license?
No.
Yeah, because I'm familiar with banqueting halls around the city of Milpitas. And usually, if that's the case, they provide their own,
Correct.
the event.
We don't have,
Yeah.
we did not apply for the license. Honestly, we did apply, but we did not pursue that. So for the banquet hall, it's the person who is renting it out. They have to decide whether they want to serve. Then they have to approach the ABC and then get a one-day license or whatever it is that's called.
I saw the floor plan, of course, how you present it with all the tables. But definitely, if they have like a dancing hall or a concert, they can transform that, right?
Yeah. So those tables are movable tables.
Movable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can have a dance floor.
Correct.
You can
And
have
there is a 3D dance floor also there. So,
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Commissioners, Vice Chair.
The parking facility for the banquet hall is 125.
Banquet hall capacity is 120.
And the parking?
Parking for both food truck park and banquet hall, the legal requirement is 121.
Okay.
Sorry, 119, and then we have 121.
And what about the movie theater then? Let's say the movie theater is also there, the banquet hall is working, the food truck is
Right,
also working. So how much is the
Randy
capacity?
probably can give you better response on that, because we went through this parking requirement extensively. Randy spent a lot of time analyzing the areas that are available, and then they came back and said, now I think we are good. That's what.
So right now we are talking of three different businesses.
Yes, yeah.
Movie theater, the food trucks and the banquet hall, all operating at the same time. And how many parking spaces do we
First
need?
of all, movie theater, we don't operate it every day. It only depends on the availability of movies. So right now, based on what we have seen in the past, generally those are weekends only. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday max.
And the parties are also maximum
Parties,
on
parties are
Friday,
there, but
Saturday, Sunday. On the other days also a little bit,
True.
but
Yeah.
most of it is on those days only. So,
Correct.
so what is going to happen then?
So
There is another existing banquet hall over there. They will have a party. You will have a party, and then you have the movie theater. Has that been taken into consideration?
Randy,
Yeah, maybe Randy can let us.
he did got a lot of information. Then he spent a lot of time analyzing the parking requirements.
Okay. Yeah.
So
maybe
I
Randy
think
can.
he would be in a
let us
position to
know.
answer
Okay.
that, because
Okay.
I don't know the nitty-gritty details of
Okay.
it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Randy, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mohana. So we did analyze the parking requirements of all of the uses within the building. Liz, if you can go to slide 11 of the presentation, but essentially there's a variety of different uses in the building. The uses that require the most parking were the banquet facility, the food truck park, and the movie theater. However, even taking those into consideration, they all meet the parking requirements with the 121 spaces that the site has. So with the renovation, the movie theater will require 28 parking spaces. The banquet facility would require 34, and the food truck park would require 36 approximately.
All right.
And
Attorney Critch?
Chair, if I may, something to, just as clarification. So the requirements under our ordinance for parking is done for serving the entirety of the area. So that 119 figure was for all of the uses in that building, and there are 121 parking spaces available. These three uses are the predominant draw for parking. So there are 88 parking spaces required for these three uses. In response to your point about there being another banquet facility in that shopping center, the parking is done in relation to each individual parcel within that area. So that number of 121 parking spaces doesn't include the parking spaces serving that other banquet facility, nor the very large parking, open parking area that's just to the, apologize, I'm trying to do the directions east, the east that's there. So if you were considering we only consider parking within a certain range of the use to which is to serve. But if you're talking about excess parking that could serve people within that shopping center, there are far more spaces than that 121 figure.
Thank you, Commissioner Awasti. Anybody else? So I can open.
Just
the
a comment
public
on
forum.
parking. I mean, obviously that big lot parking area, which is probably 500 plus parking spaces, in case there is an overflow situation that can perhaps be partially used, or people will use it unless you put some severe boundary lines and stuff like that. Also, the parking calculation is based on the usage of all those other businesses besides those three things you mentioned. And those also not expected to be at those maximum levels all the time. So, I mean, it doesn't look like there should be a parking situation because the entire complex, including big lots, adds up to probably, several hundred more than what we're talking about.
Yes, planning commissioners, are you done with questions so I can open the public forum? Thank you. So this time I'd like to open the public hearing. If you have, Liz?
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
So this evening, we have. Okay. Who called the motion? It was,
Sorry about that. So at this time, Liz, is there anybody?
Chair, we have,
How many do we have?
I have 6 speaker cards.
All right.
And how much time would you like to allow them to speak?
2 minutes.
Seven now. And we'll start with Vienna Dumlau.
Hello,
Good evening.
I'm Vienna. This is my first time at this meeting, but I got the notification. So a few things that I want to take note is I'm not opposed to it. I just want accountability. Currently, the space itself is run down. There's a lot of homeless. I've put in requests to clean up the area, even the sidewalks. The city did a great job, but there's no accountability for that specific area itself. Not even just the homeless, but there's dumping. So in the pamphlet that was provided for us, it says that the layout of the site and design of the proposed building structures and landscaping are compatible and aesthetically harmonious with adjacent and surrounding development. I hate to disagree with that, but I disagree with that. So I do have a few more points to that. What revenue study has been done to assume that there's going to be success with this business, or is it just going to be something that was planted there because they think it's a great idea, right? Do you currently have or have had a survey in the area about food trucks? I love to eat, clearly you can see it, but the reality is like, what kind of competition are you going to bring to that area? With that being said, noise is still very loud. So the last time I was at home, there was a Diwali celebration, and I'm not opposed to that as well. I closed all my windows. I have double pane windows. I can still hear it. I live probably about 4 units down the street from that actual building in the parking lot, and I can still hear cars revving in that parking lot. I can hear the homeless yelling in that parking lot. When there was an event over there with the DJ, you can hear the loud music even with the doors closed. So that is a concern for me. I heard that they're going to manage by giving us a phone number. We even called the city. We don't have a contact for the actual building owner, but there's no active effort to make it better. Okay, I have 8 seconds left. And again, how is this going to be communicated? Are you going to be going on social media and saying, hey, this is where you need to go?
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Next, please.
Next, yes, we have Kiran Bandali.
Hey, hi, my name is Kiran. I am one of the owners of the Hub 61 restaurant, which is right beside the proposal that is over here. We have been set up in this location for almost 2 years now, and we are trying very hard to basically make the business prosperous. And we think this food truck and food truck, especially being Indian food, is going to be like a direct competition to us. And also to the other restaurants that are around there. Not just the restaurants, there are probably like 7 or 8 existing food trucks, which probably don't even have the permits, but are located closer to our proximity of the restaurant. And those guys basically use our restrooms for their customers. We, being nice to them, just don't oppose them, but that's the problem that is there right now. And I'm not saying that these food trucks will add to that problem, but it's just the competition is going to be huge. If I take a 1 mile radius from the point where the proposal is, I think we have like 8 to 9 Indian restaurants. And if these food trucks are going to be Indian based mostly, you're talking about like 15 to 16 options for food. That is directly going to impact our business, our ability to execute the restaurant. We'll have to probably quit away and move away from the restaurant. So I added to that, like whoever pointed just now, that there is a lot of noise. 1 o'clock in the night is going to obviously add more noise and more disturbance to the local residents, I believe. So I would request you to not consider this and probably make it a residential layout if possible, because.
Thank you, Kiran.
Thank you.
Please.
Yes, Chair, I have Stanley Riza. Thank you. Or Riza, got it.
Good evening. My name is Stan Hariza. I am a resident very close to this location. In fact, my master bedroom window faces the facility itself. First of all, to address your question earlier, there was a group that would show up once a month prior to COVID. It was run by a company called Food Truck Mafia. And they would only operate during the summers in the front of the Big Lots facility at the time. My concern is along the terms of operating hours. When they were testing their facility, there was speakers that are set up close to the doorways, and the doors were put in with the building in the early 70s, so they are not soundproof any longer. I would even question if they are to fire code at this point, but that's up to our fire department. But we definitely could hear sound through the doors with the doors closed. So my request to them would be that they upgrade that. Another issue that I have is that the access to the parking lot that they are going to put the food trucks on, there are two driveways coming in from Junipero Street. One of them is currently blocked off, and there is no ingress from that side, which would be a concern to me for fire access, but also that limits parking, which is already an issue in our neighborhood. And so many of these spaces that they have are on the other side of the property in front of the banquet area that they are looking for. And so my concern is that the street parking is going to become an even greater issue in the area. But overall, I would like to say that I do encourage this because I would like to see something happen with this building. And I have been in touch with the gentleman that is looking to propose this, and he is very accessible. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Yes, Chair, now I have Santosh Giri.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So I operate a Kathmandu cuisine restaurant on Main Street. We, along with 10 other restaurants around Sarah Way and Main Street, we discussed these issues for a couple of days, how it's going to impact our existing businesses. And we did send an email collectively to the city, to the Planning Commission. We did raise issues so that there's not just the increase in competition, but other factors such as loss of jobs. When it comes to collective food truck parks, we may be seeing loss in revenue, which may result in less jobs. That collectively, our 10 restaurants, we probably employ around 200 people, so that might be impacted. One of the important things we are really concerned about is the stringent codes and permits requirements for restaurants, whereas an open air food truck park does not have to follow a lot of those guidelines compared to what we have invested in restaurants. So that should be taken into consideration. Other than that, we've also looked into other food truck parks such as in Stockton and Arizona. They opened for a few months and they were closed after a couple of months because of basically noise complaints, hygiene issues. So as long as those are addressed, we should have like a healthier, community-friendly food truck where existing restaurants and existing food trucks in Milpitas somehow get some priority at the food truck park would be justified.
Thank you. Liz?
Chair, I have Hong Vo.
How are you today? Hi, Commissioner. On behalf of Hong Vo, I am his nephew. I have better English, so I'm going to speak on behalf of him. But other than that, we love the plan for food truck and we believe in this. So we do have a lot behind the movie theater, and I believe it's all residential. And we actually propose a plan. If they really want to, they can put food truck in our land, 50 Sarah Way, where it's away from the residential, and actually away from all the noise and all the pollution. So that's something that we like to bring up. And anything else?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, that's it for us.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, I have Ramalu. Ramalu? No, Ramalu? Ramelu. Okay, next is Axam Zugula.
I'm actually the son of the applicant. Do you prefer I speak now or after?
So if you're making a comment as a member of the public, you're allowed to speak during this time.
Okay.
If you want to speak as part of the project's proposal,
Yeah.
I think we're hearing from the project applicant. Does the project applicant have a presentation they'd want to make?
Yeah, if I could, we were not asked to make, tonight, nobody asked us to make a presentation. We have a very short one. It will be about a minute from me and 3 or 4 minutes from Akshay. But that's all we have.
Okay, then if you want to make that as part of, if you want to make your statements as part of a presentation from the applicant, you can do that. And the chair can provide you time at our discretion to do that.
Should I do it now?
I would take the rest of public first.
Yes, yes, public comments first.
So, Chair, I have Vinod Gaduri.
Hello, everyone. Being a Milpitas resident and a restaurant owner, brick and mortar, I strongly oppose this project proposal because in my view and in my experience, there are enough restaurants in the vicinity and they are struggling. I know a lot of restaurant owners, and bringing these in, I know the project proposal said the beautification of the Milpitas. I also strongly oppose on that point as well. Bringing the food trucks wouldn't bring any beautification in the area where we need much better alternatives. And also, it was mentioned that the prior project was violated permits and all. Is this project is to cover that up and use the building in that manner, or we need to just look into that matter because there were violations in the prior project. Other than that, bringing the food trucks there, it's going to add the hygiene issues and sanitary issues too, because I've been running restaurant for a long time, brick and mortar. Thank you.
Thank you. Liz?
Lastly, I have BAP Das. BAP Das.
Hello, good evening. My name is Milpitas, and I'm running a business here. I'm a business owner, and I'm against about this food truck plans. We are barely making some money during this season. After COVID, it was like really hard to survive, and we are still doing this and barely making money. We got so much restaurant already, and I don't think we need more facilities for people. If you go weekdays, you can see barely people are sitting in the restaurants. After then, still there is so many food trucks are there. And what I think, if you get more food trucks, we will be like hard to like make some money. At least we need to pay so much money. After then, this problem we have to face. And then it's come to the traffic. If you see the entrance from 880 to South Main Street, it's horrible always. And if this food trucks area comes, it's gonna be really tough to enter, and we're gonna lose a lot of times. So please take a decision very carefully. At least think about us. Thank you.
Thank you. Liz, is that the last one?
Oh. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, I read it incorrectly. Your address starts with 395, yeah?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
395 Corning Avenue.
Yeah, and that was Ramesh. I'm sorry, I didn't read it correctly.
Hey, good evening,
Welcome,
everyone.
Ramesh.
So my name is Ramesh. I'm a resident next to this building, and also I'm the business owner in the main street. See, I'm strongly opposed that one because we are still struggling the business. We invested too much money on it, and we are paying too much rent, but still we are not able to make it the profit because we need to make it. We need to pay taxes and rents, employee salaries. So there is too many food. I think around 7 to 9 food trucks over there in that main street and North Abbott Avenue, and near Great Mall also there is some food trucks, and Big Lots parking lot also there is one food truck, and opposite to Hub 61 there is 2 food trucks. They are not at all moving there. That 24/7 they are parking over there. I don't know how they are getting the permit, because the food truck should be moved from the parking lot to commissary place, but they never move there. Because I have a food truck, but I'll move every day after 9 p.m. to my commissary. But there is couple of food trucks. They're not even South Main Street. Also, there is two or three trailers over there. They're not at all moving. They're parked at 24/7. But I don't know how they have got it the permit. See, still we are struggling for the rest. As a resident, we are getting noise, and also we are, as a business owner, also we are getting a lot of problems. But please consider this one, as a public helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh. Any other, Liz?
That was the last speaker card.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to take the applicant presentation. Commissioners, if you have also questions. Go ahead.
Thank you,
Mr.
Madam
Livingood.
Chair. I will be very brief. I wanted to just, because you've covered an awful lot of territory here tonight with this issue, and I appreciate that. I want to first thank the staff for the work they did on this. You've all seen the staff report. It's very comprehensive. It covers all the important things that you, as a commissioner, need to know to make a decision. So we're very pleased with not only the report itself, but we're pleased with the recommendation that my client is able to move forward with their plans and with their dreams for a business. I wanted to say one other thing, and then I'm going to turn over to Akshay, who has one of the applicants who has something he wants to say. Sarah Center. I drive through there frequently. Walgreens is where I go for my needs for a drugstore. And I drove by there the other day, and I was kind of sad what I saw back there where this facility will be. I feel sad for the people that are there, and I feel sad for the fact that we haven't found solutions to that problem yet with folks that are unhoused. But this will assist that situation, and those folks who live over there are going to have a much better front door, so to speak, once this is done than they have today. And so Sarah Center is, we need to improve that and take opportunities to improve it. And I think this will go a long ways towards doing that. And finally, I wouldn't be here tonight if I didn't have faith in the owners of this facility, the businesses that are going to be run. I have faith in them that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. And that is in response to these residents who are here tonight, keep the noise under control, keep folks parking where they should be parking. And I have every confidence that they will do that. And so that should assist you and hopefully assist you in making your decision. So thank you very much for your time as well tonight, taking the time you did to ask the questions and to hear all of us out. So thank you, Madam Chair. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Livingood. And the presentation from?
My name is Akshay Sagula. I'm the son of the applicant, and sorry, I'm a little nervous. This is my first time doing this, but I have a few remarks I'd like to make. First of all, good evening. Planning Commission members, and members of our community who've gathered here tonight. Before discussing our proposal, I'd like to share our family's story. Like many in Milpitas, ours is deeply rooted in the American dream. My father came to this country as an immigrant with nothing but hope and determination, escaping dire personal circumstances in India that left us bankrupt. He arrived in New York City during the harsh winter of '97 with his new wife and me, their young child, not even knowing about the harsh winters that New York City often has. I'll never forget how a kind taxi driver, shocked at our unpreparedness, gave us his own jacket, a perfect example of the American generosity that would help shape our journey in this strange new land. Every dollar mattered so much that my mother, who's sitting right here, would often scold my father for spending $1 on soup in his company's cafeteria, insisting that the money should instead go towards my college education. Those early lessons in sacrifice, determination, and the importance of community support have guided our family's journey for the past 23 years here in the Bay Area. We've worked hard, we've saved carefully, and always looked for ways to contribute to our communities that have welcomed us. It's the same spirit that drives our current project here today. Over the past year, we've worked diligently through the planning process, investing significant time, resources, and frankly, hope into this project. This represents more than just a business venture for us. It's our family's belief in the promise that America makes to those who work hard and persevere. We've heard concerns from the local community members and restaurant owners tonight, and I want to address each of these thoughtfully and directly. As the child of immigrants who's built everything from scratch, I deeply understand their perspective. Every small business represents someone's dreams, savings, and countless hours of hard work. Just as my parents counted every single penny in those early days, I know our local restaurant owners have made similar sacrifices to build their businesses. Their concerns deserve our full attention and respect. That's why I'd like to address these concerns directly, showing how this project will strengthen, not strain, our local businesses, while highlighting the benefits it has to our community. First, our food truck park will serve a distinctly different purpose than traditional restaurants. We're creating a casual outdoor dining space where moviegoers and locals alike can grab quick, diverse meals in a festival-like atmosphere, fundamentally different than the experiences that our sit-down restaurants offer and make for special destinations for our families and friends. Secondly, this project will enhance Milpitas' position as a great dining destination, which it already is in the South Bay. We've seen how successful food truck parks across the Bay Area have enhanced their communities. For example, the Sofa Market Food Hall in downtown San Jose has helped revitalize downtown San Jose, while Spark Social in San Francisco's Mission Bay has created a vibrant community space that nearby restaurants directly benefit from. In fact, many successful brick and mortar restaurants throughout the Bay Area, like Señor Sisig and Curry Up Now, have started out as food trucks before opening permanent locations, showing how food truck parks create a more vibrant dining ecosystem that benefits everybody. Just as the Great Mall draws visitors from across the Bay Area to support all local businesses, our food truck park can create a new community gathering space for Milpitas and other South and East Bay families. It'll add a diverse and accessible dining option that complements, not competes with, other existing restaurants, generates additional foot traffic that benefits the entire Great Mall McCarthy Ranch corridor, and provides an amenity for the thousands of tech workers in our nearby offices. Thirdly, we're thoughtfully utilizing the theater's existing parking area, creating value from underused space while maintaining adequate parking for all uses. This location, tucked behind Sarah, minimizes impact on existing businesses while creating synergy with the moviegoers. By utilizing this underutilized space with regular food service and community gathering, we'll create a vibrant, well-lit environment that naturally deters unwanted activity and improves the safety for the entire neighborhood. Finally, this project aligns with Milpitas' forward-thinking approach to development. Just as this great city has balanced traditional retail with the Great Mall, we can create a space for both traditional restaurants and innovative dining concepts like ours to thrive. When my father came to this country, he believed in the American promise that hard work, dedication, and following the rules would lead to opportunity. For the past year, our family has invested countless hours, countless nights of lost sleep, significant resources, and frankly, our blood, sweat, and tears into this project, working through every single detail with the city staff, attending meetings, and refining our plans. This food truck park represents not just our business aspirations, but our deep commitment to Milpitas' growth and future. We're not just asking for the approval of a business, we're asking for the chance to prove that the promise of opportunity that brought my family from India to America still holds true today. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. You know, at this time, I have our economic director, Alex Andrade, if he can join us. I think he would like to say some comments. Would you be available, Alex? Huh? Oh, he's also available for questions. Alex Andrade is with Economic Development Commission. He's going to be online. Director.
Good evening.
Can I ask a question to Mr. Alex, please? Hi, Mr. Alex, how are you?
I am good. Good evening, Planning Commission.
Yeah. Hey, when we see a lot of concerns from other business owners, and I know the new owners must have done their homework. From the economic development perspective, with so many restaurants already in the area and the businesses in the area, do you think that this is going to be a very viable project? It will going to spruce up the area? Everybody has different comments. The existing business owners think that this is going to be a big loss for them and they may close down. And the new owners think that it is going to spruce up the area, or maybe more people will be coming because we're going to have a lot of more dining area in this area. So what are your comments on that, and what has been your research on this project?
Thank you, Commissioner Awathi. Good to see you and the rest of the commission. I'll start by just reminding people that we in the economic development world, our aim is to cultivate a strong, stable, and diverse local economy that helps us in many different ways. It helps us to create jobs as well as revenues to the city in order to provide essential services. But I want to start because we must adhere not only to our economic development strategy, but also our general plan. Our general plan is very forward-thinking in that it has an economic development element to it. And within Action ED 1J, it does indicate and really encourage redevelopment of underperforming commercial centers and retail centers, of which one of them is the Sarah Center. So when one speaks of the Gateway Main Street specific plan, the Sarah Center is the gateway in the Gateway Main Street specific plan. So from an economic development perspective, I think it is very much in need of renovation and infusion of investment. This project allows that to happen. And so I heard former Mayor Bob Livengood really mention that. And so from an economic development perspective, it would do that. On the other hand, I very much understand the plight of the small business owner, especially during the pandemic. We heard a lot from retail and restaurateurs. You remember just 4 years ago, we were in a place where we were trying to define what was deemed an essential business versus a non-essential business. And our restaurants, many of them had to close. Many of them who stayed open were only able to move forward with deliveries. But unfortunately, there were lots of layoffs supply chain issues, closures. So it's been a really difficult time for retail and restaurant owners. So I do think that we should take into consideration how our existing business representatives feel. For us, business attraction, retention, and expansion is very important. Retaining local business is vital for us. So I do hope that there's a happy medium that the Planning Commission figures out. I did hear some, potential creative solutions of, I think Commissioner Gupta mentioned the first right of refusal. I don't know if we can do that legally. We would have to bring in Attorney Creech. But those are my initial thoughts at this point in time. I'm happy to answer any other questions that the commission may have.
Thank you, Alex.
I have some comment. Can I go forward?
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gupta, then Commissioner Alex.
So I'm actually in favor of this project, but let me give you my perspective. So there are a few considerations. One of them is, are you expecting that all the people who will be coming to this food truck park are the ones who are otherwise going to all the restaurants and food trucks that you mentioned? I don't necessarily agree with that, but I think there will be a lot of additional clientele. And once you get that additional clientele, maybe they come to the theater, maybe they come to the banquet hall, that's going to attract a lot of people. And a lot of times those people who come in are going to look for other restaurants around, because not everybody likes to be in the food truck area, especially at least 6 months in a year when it's so cold. And I think it'll increase everybody else's business. And I'll give you another case study or example. In Fremont, Washington and Fremont Street intersection, you all know about Uppity Mandi, and in that complex, there were a lot of existing restaurants, Indian restaurants, and they have been operating for a long time. And then they added some food trucks, right? One is that called Chandni Chowk, and where probably you got the name from, Chandni Chowk to Gandhi Chowk. But these additional 3 food trucks that they have multiplied the business of all those restaurants, which partially were struggling. Because I've gone to that location many times myself. It's one of the most popular spot in this area. People go there, and just for the ambience, the atmosphere, and everybody else's business has gone up. So I don't necessarily agree that having this food truck park will reduce the business of the existing businesses. But at the same time, having that first right of refusal will be a good gesture. I ideally would want that to be added as a condition of approval. At least I like to see the promise made by the applicant that they will actually honor that. So that's my viewpoint. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gupta. Commissioner Galang.
Yes, I have a questions on the applicant. Just regarding about the concern of the community with regards to the noise. If you have a music, do you planning to put a soundproof barrier in the banquet? The noise, yes.
The banquet.
Banquet, yes.
Yeah. So we heard that, and then we definitely are going to make every effort to soundproof the doors. I mean, right now, the doors were from the previous, continuation of the previous owners, before we leased out. So we definitely are going to look at and then see how we can soundproof the doors so that, the noise levels can be, reduced to the minimum possible.
So before you operate the banquet, you have to test the.
We got to do that. So.
Okay. And then the food truck. Okay. Do you own those food truck? Do you own that? Or somebody else own the food truck?
We own the food trucks.
So you, the driver, that's your employee, right? So you I mean, how do they clean their mess or their garbage like every day? There's like for example, lunchtime, the busy hours. Then there are food truck in the area, and then how do you maintain the area,
Mhm.
the
So, I
hygiene?
mean, that's part of the regular closing, business closing process where, they have to clean up the food scraps and,
Who is in charge of that?
we will be the in charge of that because we own the food trucks.
So, do you have an employee does maintain?
That's the plan. Either we have an employee that supervises everything, or individual food truck employees have to, do that before as part of the business closing.
I remember I saw some food trucks. They put the garbage on the other side, and there's another trash can on the other side, and I see some water dripping on the truck. Is that
We definitely want to keep that area clean because, it's only in our own business interest and also, in the community interest.
so? How do you how do you clean the area? What kind of cleaning materials do you use?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
How do you keep that area clean?
By, making sure that, there is no garbage, flying around or, sitting around. And also making sure that, we wash that area regularly.
So after what's the food truck operation again? After what time?
Up to 10.
10 o'clock. So after that, where do you park your food truck?
We have to send it to the commissary.
Where is that?
It's in San Jose.
Not in the center, right? Not in the Sarah Center, correct?
So it's in the South San Jose. That's where we got the spot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Galang. Any other questions?
Yeah, can I ask you? Okay, so-
Commissioner Awasti?
Yeah. Regarding the noise pollution, some residents had concerns. And when you say that this is an old structure and you'll be rebuilding it and you'll be getting some permits.
Rebuilding it, I'm going to, soundproof the doors.
Okay,
Yeah.
so will it be in compliance with the no? We have some kind of code. After 10 p.m., you're not supposed to have so much noise, or you can't open the doors that the resident who's trying to sleep, or they just jump out of bed. And so that has to be closed at that time after 10 p.m. especially, so that sometimes people I've seen in banquet halls, they just open the door, they go for a smoke or something like that. You can't control each and every person.
Right. But, as part of the agreement that we write, when we rent it out for an event, this would be one of the conditions that, hey, you have to keep the doors closed all the time.
Okay.
You cannot just leave it open and then, try to go back in and out. It has to be closed every time, when you go out, then you have to close the door.
Yeah, so after 10 p.m., I think if the DJ is going on, so they should be only in case of emergency, it should be open, because these are emergency doors also.
Yes.
And they should be open only in case of emergency. But are you going to have some person standing there so that people don't? A lot of time residents complain that people who are drinking, they'll go out and they'll throw those bottles there, or they're just loud, 6 or 7 people, and it's all party time. People enjoy. I can understand that, but there should be restriction so that they don't take out the drinks. And normally ABC will give you that restriction that people who are drinking should not be taking out their drinks outside. So do you have any safeguard in place that people do not go outside the back door especially, or even the front door with the drinks? Or are you going to have some security or something like that operating, or it will be your security or the people who are going to rent the place, their security?
It's the people that are going to rent the space, they need to keep the security if they are going to serve alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all those these precautions will be taken care of. It will be in the contract.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
Commissioner Wasti, just to point out to your concerns, in the proposed conditions of approval, there are two particular conditions I'd like to point out. One of them is their condition restricting if they do have an ABC license through, like, for instance, a caterer's permit, the alcohol cannot go beyond the banquet hall area. So this CUP would not be authorizing any kind of alcohol use. They would need to get subsequent approvals, but if they did get those approvals, it would, by this condition of approval, be restricted to only that banquet room. Secondly, as to the part about those rear doors, there is a condition of approval that requires those rear doors to remain closed for the emergency exits to be marked and restricted to only emergency use and alarmed in the way consistent with that, so that they cannot be used in other functions. And then there's a requirement for the other doors to not be allowed to be used by patrons or the public, to only be allowed to use by staff. And when staff uses them, they're required to immediately close them. Those are conditions of approval the permittee would be required to comply with. And if they were leasing or licensing the property to someone else, they would be credited with those violations. So that restriction is one that the permittee has a strong impetus to comply with, to be able to maintain this use.
Thank you, Attorney Critch. Yes.
Answering to that, the noise after 10 p.m., that has to be restricted so that even if the people who can go in and out of that area with the door, it should be in compliance so that the residents are not startled with the DJ noise at that point of time.
So to clarify, there is a restriction for 10 p.m. on the food truck park. There's a restriction for 1 a.m. On the banquet hall use. The food truck park, that is the hour stated in our mobile food vending ordinance, which is up until 10 o'clock. There is a requirement in the conditions of approval for compliance with our noise ordinance. And that's additionally something that's required specifically for mobile food vending under the mobile food vending ordinance.
Yeah, no, I was talking of the when there is a party going on and the DJ is there. And so I was told that there's a door, like you said, that someone can open and come back. The employees can open and go in and out. So it does not disturb, the loud noise does not disturb the owners after 10 p.m. Everybody should have their time, sleep time.
So the city's noise ordinance, which would apply and specifically be a condition of this approval, is done by decibel levels, regardless of time. So once the noise reaches a certain limit as measured under the ordinance, it'd be in violation. It doesn't matter if it's 10 p.m., 1 a.m., or 5 p.m.
City Attorney Critch, can you maybe explain that a little bit better in terms of the enforcement? So is it only being enforced when resident calls in for a complaint, or will the business owner be responsible for monitoring the noise level?
So there's multiple different levels. Did you want to answer?
Yes, go ahead.
So the enforcement of our code typically is handled on a complaint-based basis. So we don't have the staffing to go out and actively enforce all the time. But when we do hear a complaint, what we do is we send out our code enforcement or our police staff, and they can take the readings with the measurement, like a measuring device, at the perimeter of the property, because it cannot exceed a certain decibel number at the perimeter. So that's what happens when an issue arises.
And is it possible to require the business owner to proactively monitor the noise level?
So there's a few different, I guess there's a few different parts to that. So if there was a violation of the noise ordinance, there are many routes of enforcement that the city would have in that case. One of them, as was pointed out, would be citation authority. There are also provisions in our ordinance where if there are repeated responses to a noise complaint, that the owner and operator become responsible for response costs, as well as compliance and possible citations and fines and those kinds of parts. This has also been that's what the ordinance does by itself. this is also a condition of approval, which means that particularly for repeated violations of that ordinance, that can be grounds for revoking, modifying, or further conditioning this approval to make sure that those kinds of problems do not reoccur in the future. The part that you had about an active compliance element, that could be a potential additional condition that the commission could oppose if they believe that the conditions as currently stated are not sufficient to address the noise concerns. Other kinds of conditions you could propose would be, for instance, to require soundproofing upgrades to those doors.
And I would also add, while the condition to have the applicant actively monitor and take readings, I think is a good idea and would be helpful. That it would be challenging for staff though to verify that, because we would have to do like regular visits and inspections and somehow see if they're actually doing that. But most of the time we know that if the applicants or the business owners know that we're coming, then it's hard to really know whether that's happening or not.
Just to add something, I think the noise level in the mobile food truck park itself is a bigger concern to me than the banquet hall noise. Banquet hall noise can be controlled by strengthening the doors, but in the mobile park, which is right next to all the residences, is there a condition of approval to limit that noise level to certain decibels?
The noise ordinance applies for any kind of noise, whether regardless of the business it's coming from. So it would also apply for the food truck.
Okay.
Right. If you look at the conditions of approval, there is a specific condition of approval requiring general compliance with the noise ordinance that would apply to all of the approvals. There's also a specific condition of approval making the elements of our mobile food vending ordinance also a condition of approval, and specifically enumerated in the approvals in that condition is compliance with that noise ordinance specifically for the mobile food vending, the mobile food park.
Is that something we can see? Because I don't remember seeing it. Is that there somewhere?
If you look at condition number 18, specifically, subparagraph E, 18E.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that statement, which is generic, but see the same noise coming out of the banquet hall is already controlled by, the hall, the walls and the doors and stuff like that. So then that noise going out of the building and going to the residences will be a lot less than the same noise if it starts from the mobile food park. So that was the point I was trying to make. But because that's open area and it's closer to the residence hall, so maybe there should be a different noise level condition for that.
And correct, if you did not believe that because of the proximity to residential, because of the specific concerns about noise in that area and what residents have reported about what they have heard in that area from individuals who are using that parking lot, if you believed additional conditions were necessary, you could propose those.
Here, I have a question. Yeah, I have a question. So why do you allow this banquet to open until 1 a.m. Compared to our Milpitas Center, Senior Center, they open until 11 p.m. Is there any special, why until 1 a.m.?
A lot of the business hours are, somewhat, at least proposed by the businesses because of the nature of the use. So a senior center, I don't imagine, would have a lot of events or persons staying up till 1 a.m. maybe.
I mean, yeah, this Milpitas Center, they open till 11 p.m. That mostly they can open till 1 a.m. But on the other side of in the Center Road, and Center Road, they open till 1 a.m. That's close to residential. They could be open till, earlier, 11 p.m.
And yeah, if that's a concern, that's something that you could propose as a condition of approval. But yeah, there are a lot of businesses, some in Milpitas that open later than even 1 a.m. There isn't anything in our code that establishes hours of operation other than, for example, the food truck park. But some areas have earlier closing times, some have later. It's up to the discretion of the planning commission.
I agree with the 1 a.m. closing for the banquet hall, because if you have a wedding reception or other functions over there, 11 p.m. is not going to cut it, because wedding receptions last a lot longer. So 1 a.m. is suitable for that. Actually, even for the food truck park, I think 10 p.m. is too soon, but that's city code right now. But it should probably be longer, especially over the weekend. But they can cut down the music part at 10 p.m. But the rest of it could continue longer, in my opinion.
In our code, it does establish a limit of 10 p.m.
I have a question for the food truck business. Will you be playing music? Because it's open air. So definitely it's going to reverberate. I had one quick question just as a backup thing. I don't know if you would like to disclose, but how long is the lease that you got from the landlord for this property?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I
How
didn't hear
long
the
is
question.
The lease, he's leasing it from the landlord.
The lease?
The lease,
I
yeah.
mean, their lease.
Their lease.
Okay.
I mean, I don't remember, the initial period is 5, and then there are multiple extensions.
Yes,
You know,
of course. Yes, of course. Yes.
I have a comment about the music part. I mean, normally all food truck parks do have music. That's one of the attractions. And even the gas station across the street, where they play music. And I don't think you have heard too many complaints. I mean, music can be there, shouldn't be loud,
Right,
but I
yeah.
think music is an important part to attract people with the music.
So as Bob said before, the food trucks are placed in such a way that they're actually facing inward.
Right.
So even if food trucks are playing music, if it is not like a blasting sound, people would not hear, other than the people that are in the center, area. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Can
you. So if that's your concern, then maybe we could just put that as additional, that they tone down any music within the food trucks.
Yeah, the music should not really be from individual food trucks. The music should be by the overall facility. I mean, you don't want 6 different food trucks to be playing their own music simultaneously. That would be kind of a nuisance. So I think you want to have music from your side as an owner, but then control that music, one that limited to 10 p.m. Secondly, control the sound so that is contained.
We definitely do that. We'll definitely.
That's my suggestion. I mean,
No. It's a valid suggestion. So, we're happy to make sure that that's met.
I have a big concern over that suggestion, because you have to be mindful that this is in an area, the food truck area is surrounded by homes.
Correct.
So the reasoning of wanting it to be festive, it might be more suitable if it's closer to the main street, away from residents, but because you're in the back side of the property surrounded by homes, I personally don't think that festive should be the mood. So you have to be mindful of the residents, and it's already bright. I mean, you're going to have lighting already. So it's already going to be light nuisance, noise nuisance. So if whatever you can do to tone it down would be the more preferred from my perspective, because I'm thinking of it from the perspective of the residents living around it. I understand that you would want to attract people over to that food truck, but be very mindful of where the location is.
Absolutely.
So I know that earlier, when I asked a question about noise, you had mentioned that there will be numbers posted so that residents can call you directly,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Do you plan to be on site at all times of the food truck operation hours?
So we have security cameras that, we are monitoring if, while we are not on site. But the idea is that we want to have someone on the side, but we have to look at the, financials in terms of, hiring someone full time, how much it's going to cost us, financially. But that is definitely the intention, because that also gives us control on the, the whole activity. So that's definitely is what we are considering. In fact, me and my son are discussing that, hey, we should look at employing someone full time there, so that would be responsible to, take care of all these things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cleaning up after the closure, making sure.
Correct.
that
Making sure
everything-
it's clean up and so on, especially when you have a porta potty outside as well.
Yes,
That's
yes.
a hygiene issue. If it's
Yes,
not
yes.
locked up, I'm not sure if it's going to attract, we want to be mindful that this current area has a lot of blight. I mean, we don't want to attract more blight, but because there is a porta potty there,
True.
that'll
That's
be
actually a good
used and
point.
so on. So a lot of the maintenance with how you service that area before, I mean, like after the closing hours every night would be
Yeah.
very important, right?
Yes, I agree.
So yeah, just be mindful.
I will
of that.
definitely.
Thank you.
Planning Director?
Chair.
Wait.
I do want to make a few additional comments on the noise issue. Our code actually only allows outdoor music from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. in commercial zones. So I think that will be somewhat of a help in that the music will not go until 10. It'll actually go until 9, outdoor music. So it specifies hours where it's actually allowed. Actually, not 10. I mean, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. So
We are planning to close even before that, so.
and there are also a few other things that I think I heard gathered from all the comments. Just to recap, just to help the discussion move along for the noise aspect. There was a thought about upgrading the doors to help mitigate the noise for the banquet facility. Also, there is an option to further maybe limit amplified music depending on the hours, or outdoors for the food truck. So I think that's another thing that could be considered. I would say those are just to give a little bit of guidance.
Chair, I have,
ahead.
my concern is the hours of operations. Let's say, like Friday evening and Saturday, okay, when, let's say you have a 4 food truck, okay, full, a lot of customers. At the same time, you have a banquet, a full, all the like 250 in the area. But if you're closing at 1 o'clock, that the customer from the food truck, they will not gonna stay there until 10. They will stay there until whatever, people in the banquet. They might join there. My concern is the noise around the area, especially in that evening of Friday and Saturday. For sure, that's a busiest day. So if you can change your operation hours to 11, yes, I will support this project. If you're gonna keep that 1 o'clock, I'm sorry, I love Indian food.
I don't know how to address that, because, knowing the nature of the people.
The food truck is not staying open till 1 o'clock.
No, what I'm
Yeah.
saying is the customers from the food truck, if you said people from the food truck customers, they're gonna stay there till whatever, even though the food truck's not there, they're still gonna stay there. So my concern is the noise coming from the banquet, people in the banquet, there's people from customers from the food truck. If you're gonna stay until 1 o'clock, I think that's too long.
Okay, so let me see if I can logistically figure this out. The food truck, or I'm sorry, the food park will close, or yes, thank you, will close at 10 p.m. After the cleanup is done, I assume those trucks do what after that? They leave, I assume. Yeah, so you're going to have a parking lot. And there's not going to be places for people to sit or to gather. So the park is closed. And there'll be a way of removing everything out of there. So there would be no reason for anybody to gather there.
Okay.
The potential noise from inside, I think you're going to find that once that soundproofing is done, it will eliminate that. And why 1 a.m. until instead of 11 p.m. is just an issue of can they logistically rent something that ends as early as that. Some of these events go on later into the night. And so I think that would have a definite impact on their ability to lease the space out, the banquet space out, if you said everybody had to be out of the place by 11 o'clock. And I, again, I get back to management and I get back to commitments that these folks are going to make sure that those things don't become a problem. And if they do become a problem, they're responsible the owners are responsible to fix it. And you have the power as the planning commission to revoke any conditional use permit you want. If it got to the point where it was and I don't anticipate this, but if it were a problem that propped up over and over again, your staff can bring that to you and say, hey, we're gonna do exactly what you may have suggested, Commissioner Galong, which is we're gonna limit your hours to 11 p.m. as an example, even though today it says 1 a.m. So you have that power if and I don't anticipate this happening, but if it did, you can still deal with that as a planning commission. You have the rights to step up and say, hey, we're going to fix that.
I just have one more question based on your comments. For the food truck area, you have seating, certain number of chairs and tables. And so I'm concerned about, or at least bring up the question in terms of security. So those chairs and tables are going to stay there all night, or we're going to be removed at 10 p.m. or otherwise it's a lot of work to bring them in and out every day.
Right, and I just, you're right. And I just mentioned to Commissioner Galong that things will be done there, gone. We can't leave tables and chairs that are movable out all night long.
Right.
That can't happen. So there will be a way to secure them somewhere, maybe inside, maybe in a shed or something. So we can't, it's not logical to leave a bunch of tables and chairs out all night long. That's just going to be an attractive nuisance.
Okay.
Thank you. I think planning director has something to say.
And to address the concern about folks from the banquet facility trickling out to the parking lot in the back, the food truck park area, that is the reason why we have the condition of approval to have the doors remain closed, other than for emergency access and for employees. So what someone would have to do is they'd have to exit out through the front entrance, walk along the side of the building, all the way back to that rear parking area. And with that condition of approval, I think that would help limit that happening. It would limit that from happening unless somebody really, went out of their way to seek to go to that area.
It's a conditional use permit, and if they don't meet the requirements, right, we could, and there is a break of some problems, they could add additional. But what I wanted to say, which I wanted to make sure, I don't know if Randy can also comment, is, which we've been talking about, is I want the safety. I want people to be able to transverse and come into Milpitas knowing that there is this place. I want the site to be improved. That's a very good improvement, which will come to the vision that you have in your heart to develop the community. So the thing there is, what is the accountability of cleaning it up, hygienizing it? Okay, so the food trucks, they're closed at 10. It's cleaned up. I know the, what do you call it, porta potties could be locked. And then it's opened in the morning, just like when we have construction of homes or commercial buildings. And we want to upgrade the whole site so that it can be an attraction to Milpitas. If you do not care about it and then it's just like neglected, it doesn't look good for our city. Now, the important thing is soundproofing. Maybe you could ask the landlord, he has to soundproof because there are so many violations in the building codes, and he should develop not only the doors, but the whole soundproofing of the banqueting hall. Because one should soundproof that better because they have better technology in soundproofing walls. So that accountability of cleaning it up, it's cleared safety for the residents, the noise pollution. If that is already addressed, then the conditional use permit can be discussed with the staff, because if they break those, then they have to upgrade. So looking at that, of course, you will have to be taking the readings of the complaints. And that's your commitment to, so that it could be upgraded so that whole area will look good. Correct? So I was just looking at that by limiting also the amplified music. You can have soft music, only one, but when you're dining, you have a little, it's good to eat that way with little music. So I guess if you can be accountable to upgrade the whole building on soundproofing it, the cleanup, the aesthetically looking good, the whole site, that will improve it. And basically hygienizing, the porta potties by locking it and maybe doing a more, because you will know how many people will be using and coming to dine. So then you would have to maybe tell the company to come and clean it every 3 days, 4 days.
They said they will come at regular intervals, but also we can call them.
Correct.
If there is a need for cleaning, more frequently, they said you can let us know and then we come at those frequencies.
That's management part, right?
Yeah.
But that's our concern as a resident also, that we're proud of that location that will be enhanced and will be upscaled.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we can draw more businesses and more people who will also use the dining, shop, dine, and, live in Milpitas. So just that, the accountability, commissioners, is my comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
So can we at least, I don't know if you're adding any conditions of approval. I mean, if we can add some of those things we all, we all brought up, or multiple commissioners brought up. So either we can add them as conditions of approval, or at least let's make sure that they are in the minutes of the meeting, so that the proper recording is there, that we want to contain the, for example, with music, we're not against music, but as long as contained, and not disturbing the residents, or things about, we talked about giving opportunity to restaurants and other food trucks. If it's not a condition of approval, at least it should be in the minutes of the meeting, and many other things we talked about. So I think that I would request that the minutes of the meeting include at least half a dozen of these recommendations, which may not be in the project report or in the conditions of approval. At least then we have a record that they were discussed and positive response was given by the applicant.
I will just say for the meeting minutes, it does not, if we can't enforce things that are discussed in the meeting minutes, so I would just recommend we have them as conditions of approval. So yeah, from what I remember, we've heard potentially upgrading the doors, and more than that, if that's desired by the planning commission for the building itself. And then there's outdoor amplified music, either having that end earlier than what the code says, which is 11 p.m., or not allowing that. I think those are things for the planning commission to consider, and just give direction on which ones to incorporate.
Commissioner
Planning
Kong?
Director, I can see that in the conditions right now, number 38 says that amplified music shall not be used outside the building. So it's already there, right? So we can just keep it as it is.
I don't know what do you mean by amplified music. I think we have to limit in terms of the actual sound level, because I've not seen any food truck park which doesn't have music, it's always there. That's one of the main attractions. So I don't think we should totally eliminate music. We should limit it in terms of the sound level.
I do want to point out, just to make sure that we have a complete record, that was one of when the police department reviewed this project for community-based concerns, that was one of the conditions of approval they recommended.
Chair, did the fire department review this project?
Yes, they did, and provided that condition of approval.
Thank you.
Are you saying you're not allowed any music at all?
So the police department's recommended condition, and the one that's reflected in the staff's recommendation, includes a condition that would prohibit any kind of amplified music. That is, music that uses any form of amplification whatsoever.
Are we talking about inside the banquet, the amplified music, or?
Or the condition is outside of the building. Inside of the building, there is not a condition of approval that prohibits amplified music.
I think when you say amplification, that's kind of a vague term. I mean, if they play soft music is already there. For example, as I mentioned, the gas station. So they can play the music, but not amplify it to a level that will disturb the neighbors.
So the current condition is amplification in any form. If you amplify it in any way, it doesn't matter how loud it is, the current proposed condition would prohibit it. If the music was not amplified in any way, you could have outdoor music, but it'd have to be fully unamplified under the current condition. You can obviously make proposals to modify any kind of a condition.
Yeah, I think that's kind of vague in terms of saying amplification. But I think we should put a limit. But I would like to know what the applicant thinks. Because I know that sooner or later you will have music.
Yeah, we will abide by the police department recommendation. They're kind of the experts in this kind of thing. Amplification will not be part of our of this facility. What you're going to find is this: when you go to these food truck parks, you'll see and hear folks using their phones for music. We don't have any plans to create a music for 6 different food trucks, because that would require amplification, right? We couldn't get on this phone or your phone, we couldn't get enough music pushed out to the food truck park for 6 trucks. So amplification is fine with amplification is fine with us. We don't want that. We don't have any plans to do that. But you will find the folks who patronize these businesses are often younger, and this is something that they really like. It's a socialization. So for me, it seems that the noise issues are going to come from if you have too much of this or too much of this, that could cause problems. But you will not have amplified music. You will not have a speaker there. And I know what you're talking about with that truck over there, and the music is pretty loud. And you're also right that music is often a part of these social situations. But amplification is really where you can draw a very firm, hard line and say no to that, and that will solve, most of the time, will solve your problem with noise.
I have a question, Mr. Livengood. Since we're talking about the police condition, one of them is security camera. And it does require for indoor, but do you plan to have, does the owner plan to have cameras that's pointing to the food truck area as well?
Yes, the food truck areas, the beauty about security cameras nowadays is they're relatively inexpensive, and they can be, they're not even hardwired in many cases. And so these folks, the owners, can actually pull up security footage while they're at home or at their business or whatever. So the answer to this question is yes, there has to be security cameras out there. And how they are placed, we can consult the police department and see. I went to this with Milpitas Charity Bingo. We sat down with the police and we asked them, where do you want our cameras? And they were particularly interested in having cameras that face the streets, not just the facility, because they pick up information, right? Suspects that happen to be driving by, and they pick up that information. So it's important for the police to have cameras. And gosh, so many of our residents have those now. So it makes sense that outside we would have a series of cameras that were accessible to the ownership whenever they needed them.
I have a question, Chair. Right now, when you pass through that area, there is too much blight. It looks like a mini garbage dump. I feel sorry for the people who stay there and open their windows to that kind of smell and that kind of blight which is there in that area, the dump which is there. So, and I read somewhere that the residents who complained, they were told that the police can't go there or do any or remove any person from there or get anybody to clean up unless the landlord takes some initiative on that, which looks like the landlord is not taking any initiative. After, well, this is all done, now you have come with a project. So are you going to be responsible 100% for the cleanliness of the area after you take over the project?
Okay, so we're not the landlord, but this project is going, I believe, to solve most of those problems that you see back there right now, because that's the area that where those folks are right now is exactly where our food truck court will be. We will be more than happy to work with the landlord on issues like this. One of the worries you have with stuff like this is sometimes it's the old, water balloon thing where you squeeze one area and the water goes down, you squeeze it again, the water goes back up. In other words, people tend to move around a little bit. But for that area, I believe that's going to resolve for the city and for the residents what you see back there right now, which, as I mentioned in my remarks, is not good for anybody. And I will say this, and I've said this before, it's also not good for the folks who are there. It's not a safe place to be. So we want to fix that problem, and we will work with the landlord in every instance to try to make sure that that problem doesn't prop back up again.
Thank you.
Please summarize the conditions of approval that everybody agrees that we need to add.
So procedurally, the public hearing is still open. So once we have
Motion to close.
gotten all of the questions, gotten all of the factual information the commission feels like it needs to gather, then there would be a motion to close the public hearing. After that, there could be a discussion, which could include discussion of conditions of approval. I'd be happy to give a summary of potential conditions that I had heard to assist discussion.
So I propose we close the public hearing.
Yes, I need a motion to close the public hearing. This is the public. Yeah, so we could.
Chair, for clarification, I have a question to the applicant. You mentioned earlier that you're going to put your phone number in the in case there is a complaint. Where's that going to be?
Well, the residents will have something posted in the area on a sign with the number that they can call if there's a complaint. Now, the residents are free to call the police too. That's up to them. But if they want to contact us directly, or the applicant directly, the ownership, they will be able to do that and it'll be posted so they have it. And my suggestion would be that the residents, as at one time or another, go by and snap a picture of that sign, so they'll always have that number on their phone. They don't even have to go down and look at the number again. They have it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Commissioner Galang. Have you spoken earlier? Yeah, you're only allowed to speak once. If not, I would have left. I would have let you. Attorney Creed.
So the chair did announce the limitation of the public comment to 2 minutes because of the number of public commenters. Applicants are allowed to answer questions and respond and to make a presentation. It's their due process.
Attorney Creed. Do I make an exception?
So the general rule by which speaker time for public comments is made is as a general rule to all speakers so that they all get the same fair treatment.
Yes, I'm sorry about that.
Sorry, can I make a comment first? Yeah, I just want to make a comment real quick.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I wanted to thank the representatives from Milpitas that came to express your concerns about the noise. Is it Karan? Yeah, and Ramesh, who are still here hanging tough with this. Appreciate you guys. See, there's a lot of deliberation that goes in, and we really appreciate you guys being active Milpitians with the rest of us on trying to figure out the best way to handle these for everybody. So yeah, I've got notes on all of the comments you guys made too. So we did hear what you said, and I do appreciate that. So with what you guys said, so thank you.
I appreciate that, Commissioner Calkins. So do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Calkins and a second from Commissioner Gupta. Vote, please.
Commissioner Kong,
Aye.
Commissioner Calkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Wasti,
Aye.
Commissioner Galang,
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
and Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank you.
So would we want to deliberate anything, or there are some notes here that we can ask Attorney Critch to summarize, which I took notes. The accountability not only from the applicant, but also from the staff. And maybe it's already in the paperwork, on the works already, but the accountability to upgrade and soundproofing of the building where you have the facility, and the security of the place and safety of our residents, the cleanliness and the hygienizing, especially after food trucks have closed, active readings of the complaints, that will be either be accountable from the landlord or the tenants, and the vision to aesthetically improve the site, because whatever, it's really just to improve the site so we can also attract people to come to the city. Did I miss out anything we discussed? The noise level will be the soundproofing and noise level, which the staff took care of that because we have our time restraints and limits in the city as a ordinance.
And Chair, if may I add, in the condition of approval, we can also add that there should be a monitoring time, let's say 1 year or 6 months, that if we get a lot of complaints, so the timing may be reduced, or they may be able to work with all of us, with the city, with the residents, to make sure that the problems are not there. So at least there should be some kind of monitoring that this much type of complaints, if we get every weekend, we get 10 complaints, so that might be more, or residents are calling every now and then. So we have to have some kind of monitoring when it initially opens for the first 6 months or 1 year, whatever is allowed.
So you want to put the limit in it. I think planning director would know that, because whenever there are complaints or what, then the city has to give that as a conditional.
Yeah, so
Right?
maybe if
How long?
1 o'clock is too many people, they are getting out all at once, and there's a lot of noise, and the residents are disturbed, and something else happens, so there's no control over the area, at least they can bring down the time, or some kind of, so that we know that all of the things which we discussed today, we put so much time, they are kind of taken care of, even if it is the noise level or everything like that. So we do it for 6 months or 1 year, whatever is
Attorney
possible.
Critch?
So the point that I would make on that is even a single incident of a violation of the noise ordinance may be sufficient cause to revoke or further condition or modify the permit. You could imagine a particularly significant event that would warrant that. And so generally, it's not productive to set those kinds of limits, because that action could already be taken by the city for far less. And particularly in residential neighborhoods like this that abut commercial properties, that is an area that the city pays attention to for vulnerable populations. For the part that you were talking about monitoring and reporting, the point that I would make to that is making that particular to this project, having some kind of a unique reporting requirement for this would actually be something that would place burdens on staff and not necessarily the applicant. It would be the staff that would need to do that additional work, whereas staff is already empowered, even from one incident, to come forward to the commission to seek changes if they believe there's community issues.
Yeah, I know. I was not asking the staff to go and monitor. That was not what I meant. What I meant was, if there are too many complaints received at one point of time from the residents, or for some reason from the police, so at least then we can go back and see, okay, the time has to be reduced, or what remedies have to be taken, at least for the initial few months or a year or maximum.
Well, that's not fair, because you don't ask that of every business that opens, to monitor them for 6 months or a year. I
So
don't
there
think
have
we
been
should.
instances that businesses have been monitored.
I guess what I would say to that is, as Attorney Chris Creech had mentioned, staff can go out and even for one violation, bring it up, and consider revocation or altering the conditions of approval. Putting a limit of like 6 months and putting like a specific number, I guess, of violations, I think that only ties our hands even more. So I don't know if we would recommend that. I also think it needs to be based off of violations rather than complaints, because we will certainly, complaints may not be a violation. So if there are a lot of complaints, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's grounds for revoking. So I think we have to be very precise in the language. But I think what we're saying is, I think we already have the mechanisms in place to do what I think you want to be done.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification. That's right. So as I was saying, yeah, to make sure it's based on, the staff will be monitoring that, right? Based on what they receive as a violation, because it's against the city code, really. And that's why I said what's important in our heart is how will we improve that area, that spot, for everybody's benefit, and the accountability is what is important. So maybe Attorney Critch is writing all the notes, and then we'll have somebody. Yeah, based on if the staff can make sure, and the applicant, about their accountability to, take care of the noise, something to do with the noise,
Well, for what?
upgrading the
They
soundproofing.
said they weren't even considering having music out there. That was a recommendation from somebody here on one of the commissioners. So I don't even know why we keep on pushing the music issue when originally they said they didn't plan to have music out there at the food trucks.
Because the soundproofing I'm talking about is in the hall. The whole hall, because it's obsolete. I mean, it's an old building. So the soundproofing of, let me
And they said
clarify,
that
yeah,
They were gonna take care of that.
only the doors, but maybe we could say it's the whole building.
I think that's.
Yeah. Well, they can just make sure.
Very, very quickly, just on that issue of the soundproofing. So I do have some notes on potential conditions that were proposed. I could give those for the purpose of discussion. The one thing that I'd point out about soundproofing an entire building is that this is a multi-unit building, and it is a multi-unit building that they are leasing. And so the capacity to soundproof a entire building, even if just their unit, may be substantially more restricted than their capacity to be able to soundproof a particular door, and then to what level. A condition that required some level of soundproofing of the entire unit would obviously be much more significant than soundproofing the particular door. If you wanted to propose a condition to require soundproofing of that door, it could be simple, just the door, all exterior doors, all rear exterior doors to the property must be soundproofed to the fullest extent allowed by the building code through generally commercially available means.
Question?
Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit of clarity too. As I understood you to say earlier, since this is a conditional use permit, if there are violations, we can revisit it at that time and possibly revoke the permit at that time. I mean, so we don't even need to jump through the hoops to request those. It's just if they're not following these ideas that we're presenting and there are violations committed, we can address it at that point, correct?
Correct. You can have a multi-step process where if the initial conditions are not sufficient to prevent the harms to the public, or if there are operational facts that come to light that reveal the need for additional conditions, those are grounds for revoking, modifying, or amending a conditional use permit.
Use permit would be for the violations. What about Attorney Critch and Jay with regards to the hygienizing and cleanliness of the whole location and the safety? Because when you have that and it's clean and it's monitored with cameras and safety, we can make sure that the site is safe and clean.
To So a couple of items for the safety. I guess we would want to confirm if there will be outdoor security cameras. That could be one option to add if that isn't already being required. In terms of the cleaning up the site, we do already have conditions, or we have code requirements that require certain level of trash receptacles, and then it needs to be taken care of every day. I don't know if there's something that can go beyond that, but we do have that as a code requirement, just to address those two that you also mentioned.
And how does it include securing locking up the porta potties? I mean, how do we make sure that that's done?
So would it be helpful, I guess, for me to go through the conditions that I had heard? So one of them that I had heard was upgrades to the unit related to sound, and that could be either the doors or the entire or up to the entire unit. There were, as to safety, there were proposals for additional security cameras. The current condition of approval requires security cameras at all entrances to all businesses, which would include the entrances to the food truck park as well as the banquet hall. There's then additional requirements for more security cameras inside of the building at certain places, like at cashier locations. That's the current condition, but you could expand that to require a broader field of security cameras. I apologize, I just lost my page. There was conditions related to cleanliness and hygiene. So there's not currently a condition that requires locking of that porta potty or specifically storage of trash receptacles and other kinds of seating areas and arrangements, but that could be an additional condition that you require. There was discussion about a condition that would require a first right of refusal. There was discussion about having increased monitoring. So those were the discussions that I heard. I will go back to the noise. There's also a discussion about having sound level related noise restrictions, or the current condition prohibits the use of amplified music outdoors. There's also discussion about not allowing amplified sound of any kind outdoors.
Chair, how about the movie theater? Is that still operational? But it's the same building, correct?
But they only have weekends. They only do weekends.
On one side of the building, the movie theater will continue to operate, and then on the other side, it is being replaced by the banquet facility.
So about the wall, are they gonna change that wall so that you won't hear the music on that? Oh,
It used to be theaters, so I'm sure there's some kind of sound because you can't hear. There's
Okay.
no way each theater is listening to the other.
want to make sure.
Yeah.
And they're also on opposite sides of the building with concession stand in the middle.
They're improving it from a 200 seat to a 98 seating capacity.
So those are all good adding conditions of approval. But about that right to or offering first right for refusal, what I heard earlier from the owner was a little concerning because he said that all the trucks will be owned by them. If all the trucks are owned by them, how will they allow other trucks from other restaurants and food trucks to come in there? So I think that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, we're putting a condition which they're already not planning to use.
I guess to reiterate that discussion as I had heard it, so I heard the same thing that you had, that they own the trucks. It's of course possible that you can own the truck, but then allow a certain business to use that truck. The point that I would I think I made was that particular condition, if it was going to be proposed, would need a factual basis tied to one of the elements of approval. And a factual statement on the record that would justify that kind of a condition. Ordinarily, that kind of a restrictive conditioning going to business operations and arrangements people make with third parties is not typically something that's required. It is certainly something that business owners might do to make sure that their business is successful and has the goodwill of the community on their own initiative.
So are you saying we're not putting that condition of approval? I know there was a discussion you mentioned.
I think that staff is not recommending that condition of approval. And then I was trying to provide points for how the conditions of approval, if proposed, could be justified.
Because if you listen to everybody who's here, they all complain, all those restaurants and food trucks, that's the complaint they all have, that going to affect their business, and so they're trying to come up with a compromise with the community.
I think the challenge is that a lot of those concerns are not land use and zoning issues. And typically conditions of approval, we try to stick to issues that relate to those topics, not business competition or what exact type of business goes in and things like that.
Yeah, I may I have a comment, please. I feel that right of refusal will not be able to work because they are all in a different position, and they can say, oh no, we don't want you there. Then what is the legal status? I mean, it will put this business in limbo. So
right of refusal is different. Right of refusal is you're telling them you want to put a food truck here, and they will accommodate. You can use your food truck as one of the 6 food trucks they plan to use. So that's the right of refusal. Right of refusal doesn't mean that you don't do the business.
as of now, they own all the food trucks.
So the public hearing has been closed. So if there's additional factual information that you'd need to reopen the public hearing to ask those questions if necessary. For the condition of approval, if you were for the first right of refusal that you're talking about, when you have a first right of refusal that's requiring someone to effectively, it's not really going into business, but to enter into a business arrangement with third parties who they do not get to independently choose. That is a significant condition that staff is not currently recommending, and that would require an explanation of a factual basis for tied to the elements of approval.
Since that's not been recommended by the staff, Attorney Creech, you mentioned the upgrades to the sound with regards to the noise, correct?
So in terms of language for that condition,
Yeah.
If you want it to be just for the door, potential language would be all rear-facing doors to this unit must be soundproof to the fullest extent allowed by the building code using generally commercially available means.
Can we add, or if it will improve, maybe some parts of the building unit?
So conditions of approval should be specific and focused to be enforceable, giving the applicant clear requirements that they need to do. And again, the point I'd make is that requiring doors are one thing, an entire unit can become significantly costly and a significant condition. There are other conditions related to sound that was discussed, setting decibel limits, setting prohibitions on amplified music, or amplified sound whatsoever. I could provide additional thoughts on those if that was something that you wanted to explore further.
Okay, that sounds fine. Then you mentioned about safety and security cameras inside and exterior.
Correct. What I'd heard on that discussion was that the current condition for the exterior of the building only requires security cameras at the entrances to that part, the food truck part, the business that's out there. You could have a further requirement of additional cameras on the exterior of the property over that food truck area.
And then you mentioned the locking of the porta potties and cleanliness of the area.
Right. I had heard that there was a proposal for the porta potties to be locked and for all of the exterior amenities, that is the seating area, to be stored securely.
And I think lastly, I noted increased monitoring
I had heard that proposal.
violations for any
I
violation.
had heard that proposal, so I was relating it. I think we had discussed the points related to monitoring already.
Already. Okay, so until there, anything we missed, commissioners?
So I just want to point out that, reading through the different conditions of approval on here, number 17 basically says that the project development, it's going to comply with all the building requirements in there. So the building's got to meet the building requirements for what's going to be used in there. And number 13 on there is the revocation, suspension, and modification, which basically says if we're having issues with this, we can revisit it. I don't think we've got precedents in Milpitas that I know of where we've had a project like this, that we've had all kinds of issues. So it feels at times like we're putting the carriage before the horse, with this. So we've already got the system in place that we can address these issues if they arise. I don't think we need to put new concerns in place.
Any comments? Commissioner Kong? No? Okay. Yeah. So is anybody having a motion to approve this?
So we are putting some of those conditions, right?
There is a procedural part. There was a first and a second to the motion to close the public hearing. We did not take a roll call vote because there is a question from Commissioner Commissioner Galong. So I think we still need to go back to that roll call vote on the motion.
So we'll do a roll call for the vote for the motion to close the public hearing.
Yes, so I had Commissioner Calkins he made the motion, Mr. Gupta, he second, and now we'll go for a vote to close the public hearing, starting with Commissioner Kong.
Aye.
Commissioner Calkins.
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta.
Aye.
Commissioner Awasthi.
Aye.
Commissioner Galang.
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby.
Aye.
And Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liz, for that. That was very so if you want, the planning director, we mentioned something about it was not very clear in making sure that there were like exterior cameras. Maybe we could add that for safety.
So currently, exterior cameras are only required at the entrance exits, and also, interior cameras, but you could add a condition for security cameras covering the food park area.
The food park. So would you want to add just that?
So I really believe those conditions of approval summarized by the attorney should still be included, because that way you can say you have so many conditions of approval already in the document. So you could say, well, most of those are not required either. So I think you do need to add some additional conditions of approval, like locking up,
Porta
the
potties.
temporary, what do you call, potty, and some of the others we mentioned. I think some condition of approval should be added, just like you have 30 other conditions already. So why not to add few more, which are important to us, right? Because if you don't lock that potty at night, homeless people will come, and then, I think it'll become very difficult thing to manage.
I think based off what I could gather, it seems like the one area where there's still not consensus is the noise. I think for the other items, they're a little more straightforward and possibly feasible pending feedback from the applicant. But in terms of the noise, I think that's where we need some clarity. Like if the doors are enough, and if not, there seems to be some challenges to having insulation for an entire tenant space. But other options are having perhaps a more strict noise requirement for this site, just given the proximity to residential, that goes a little bit, maybe the sound level going a little lower than what's typically required for a commercial area. I mean, so we just need clarity, I think, on the noise
I
aspect.
think doors should be enough. Otherwise, it becomes too expensive for the landlord. Doors should take care of most of it, is my opinion.
So to clarify, the doors primarily, but not necessarily the entire building. Okay.
Entire building will be very expensive. And if something can be done to the back of the building, that wall, it's very difficult for a business owner to do this. And I don't think the landlord is going to take any initiative.
So since this is all within already the staff report, we can just add a little to reinforce it. And summarize.
If I may, for moving discussion along, what I could do is to summarize what I'd heard were conditions that seem to have a number of commissioners speaking in favor of them. And then someone, if they wanted to, could make a motion to approve the resolution as proposed with those additional conditions of approval, if they so wanted to. Would that be something that the chair that you would like me to do?
Yes, please. Is that all right, planning commissioners? Okay.
So additional potential conditions would be an upgrade of the rear doors to this unit to the fullest extent allowed by the building code, to be soundproof to the fullest extent allowed by the building code through general or commercially available means. The additional security cameras beyond those already required to cover the operations of the food truck park. A requirement that the exterior amenities of the food truck park, including the porta potty and the outdoor seating amenities, be locked and stored after operations.
Oh, that's all? Okay, so if that's fine, maybe we can have the screen up for the motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Sure. Should I read that?
Yeah, you have to read, please.
Adopt resolution 24-033, approving conditional use permit number UP 23-0006, minor conditional use permit number MC 23-0007, and the minor site development permit number MS 23-0143, subject to the findings and attached conditions of approval.
And
I second.
as a clarification, is that with the additional 3 conditions of approval that I recited just a moment ago?
Yes, with the additional conditional approval that we just mentioned a minute ago.
I second that.
Commissioner Kong,
Aye.
Commissioner Calkins,
Nay.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Wasti,
Aye.
Commissioner Galong,
Aye.
Commissioner Medina, I'm sorry, Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
and Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Our next agenda item is new business. What? Yeah. I'd like to thank also everybody for coming this evening. Thank you for your patience. And congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. That's why I need you, my dear. Okay, new business, no items. Any person aggrieved by any final decision of any board, commission, or department head of the city of Milpitas may appeal the decision to the city council by filing written notice of the appeal with the city clerk within 12 calendar days of the date and said decision and paying the required fee. This time limit shall be strictly enforced. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll
Second.
second.
Second by Commissioner Kong. Thank you.
I have Galong, Kong, and I'll do roll call. Commissioner Kong,
Aye.
Commissioner Colkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Awasti,
Aye.
Commissioner Galong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
and Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.